What's up guys, Aroneous here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, I did reach another milestone on my free-to-play account here, and I'm going to share that with you. I'm also going to go over the Nishak Fusion. There's a calendar for it up right now, so let's get into it. Alright, so we've got the Nishak Vermin Lord calendar, the fusion calendar behind me, and I'm just going to go over this really quickly. Let's see what we have to do for the fusion and what's changed. I do see that they did in this fusion throw in an epic, which is nice, on the summon rush, so that's cool. I think on the last fusion, maybe the fusion before, maybe it was Morrigan or maybe it was a previous fusion, but they didn't add in the ability to gain that epic that they typically do on these fusions. And this is like an old school fusion where you have to fuse a bunch of these guys, risk arms, into the epics here below. But this is definitely the hardest type of fusion. So I wouldn't be surprised if half the player base doesn't even go for this fusion at all. But if you are going for it, this guy is actually top tier, in my opinion, for progression. And he's also a very good dungeon solo champion. If for some reason you don't have like Theodore, you don't have Bad Alcazar, you don't have Tomb Lord, you don't have other champions that can basically solo farm Dragon, solo farm Ice Golem, so on and so forth. So Nishak Vermin Lord can come in and he can actually help support your team to ensure that you can solo farm on the highest stages. And I have watched a few videos already where people are pretty easily, for the most part, soloing stage 25, but of course, if you're early game or mid game, most likely you aren't going to be able to do that. So you're going to dial it back a little bit to stage 20. Nishak Vermin Lord is going to be able to do that for you. If you don't know about his kit or anything like that, you can check out my previous video. I believe I did go over his kit. And a part of his kit basically is he lands bombs, and when those bombs explode, then they place poisons directly afterwards on the opponent. I did also see a cool video today from YST, and YST made the video in regards to Nishak Vermin Lord one-shotting the Bommel boss on stage 90 hard, which is pretty fantastic. Consider checking that video out. Really good video showcasing Nishak Vermin Lord. And that's one reason why I want to go for him, is because of Bommel, but also because he's a dungeon farmer. He's very good in PvE. Now, in regards to PvP, can he be a decent hitter? Yes, he's okay. But personally, I wouldn't be using him as like my main damage dealer or source of damage in PvP. He's going to be more likely better for you in PvE. So consider building him up if you need him. There are a lot of people that are endgame that just aren't going to even consider going for this guy because you probably already have fast enough teams and dungeons and other endgame content. I think he's going to be halfway decent, not that great, but halfway decent against the new dungeon boss. I just don't think he's going to be slotted in very often as compared to other champions that you can utilize for sleepers. A lot of people are utilizing Chagor, and a lot of people are utilizing Septimus, utilizing other really good champions to fight that boss. But you could bring him in if you're able to sleep the boss, and then he could hopefully place poisons or the bombs, which then convert to poisons when he's waking up and taking turns. But then again, the issue is the boss does have that remove all debuff skill, so you got to be careful and you have to have right speed tune for it, because this guy does also decrease the bomb detonation timer, so he could be halfway decent in placing those protected poison buffs, debuffs on the new boss. I just don't think people are going to utilize him all that often against that new boss, but I'm sure people will find a way. Personally, I would use him mainly in Dragon, Ice Golem, and then he could be halfway decent against Fire Knight because of the triple hitter on the A1, but I don't think that that's what people are going to be utilizing him for. Fire Knight 25, things like that. You want to try to, he might be decent actually, now that I think about it, against the waves for Fire Knight 25. Let me just take a peek. I think Fire Knight 25 is neutral affinity. No, he's actually negative affinity against Fire Knight 25, so you have to dial it back to 24, which is actually a neutral affinity. So Fire Knight, more than likely people aren't utilizing this guy on stage 25. Again, he's going to be a very great progression-based champion. Anyways, back to this fusion calendar here. So we've got Ice Golem going on right now, which means you want to make sure you're focusing on this. Make sure you can farm the highest you can. Also, you can try to work on farming food at the same time to kill two birds with one stone when the future champion training event comes out, which is on December 18th here. So you could get 2 risk karma on champion training. Ice Golem, you can get just 1. It is at 2250 for the points. So you do have to farm a good amount of Ice Golem. And it's going alongside of the Dungeon Divers. So once you finish Ice Golem, the next one is going to be Fire Knight. So a lot of the gear from Ice Golem, if you're late game, you're probably going to end up selling it anyways. So you can just salvage all that silver for the Artifact Enhancement event, which is going to start on the 17th, which is in 2 days. And if you finish Ice Golem tournament sooner than the Dungeon Divers event is up, then you could try to work on farming Spider after the Ice Golem tournament's done. Get as much silver as you can to get ready for Artifact Enhancement. And then, of course, the Summon Rush is going to be starting tomorrow on Friday. So be prepared for the Summon Rush. And I did notice that there is no Champion Chase. So that's kind of strange. And a Champion Chase is the one where you can actually go in and pull your Fragment Summon Champions. So they took that out. I think they did it on purpose, but that's kind of annoying. But then again, it's not all that annoying because you're not having to pull more shards than you have to. I just really hope they don't go crazy and make the epic an unreasonable amount of points to achieve. So hopefully you can get the epic with no problem. Typically the epic is around 3,000 points, sometimes 3,500 points. It's usually not more than that. But if they do have it at like 4,000 or 4,500 points, that's just going to be ridiculous for most players. But that if you happen to have a bunch of shards saved up and you go for this epic, it's just going to make it so you don't have to go for 4 of the risk harms, unless you want to utilize that as your, some people just want to copy. So if you want to utilize that as your copy for the Endalia champion, then fine, do that. That's awesome. But more than likely, like for me, I don't really care too much about an Endalia. I know she has that nice provoke on the A1, which is great against Magma Boss, for example, but just not someone that I need on my account personally. She's not going to make my account progress too much further than it already is. I'm almost done completing the Bommel rotation, the Dark Fae rotation, which will be the first time I beat it, and then I've completed all the rotations on hard for my free-to-play account, so that's kind of be coming soon. I will be creating a video on that when I do complete it. And so keep in mind, champion training, you want to focus on building up champions now. You can do that. Hopefully you have a champion that you can utilize to farm Ice Golem at a lower stage, or Ice Golem 20 preferably is going to be the fastest way for you to get those points. If you can't, dial it back to stage 10 or stage 13. Stage 10 typically has more 4 and 5 star artifacts that pop out, actually a high rate of 5-star artifacts, so it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be easier for you, so you can farm stage 10 and just honestly sell a majority of those artifacts. Unless you're early or mid game and you need artifacts, then consider keeping those 5 stars, but I would go ahead and just sell everything that's 4-star from stage 10. So that being said, moving on to Spider Tournament, December 22nd, Dungeon Divers, December 21st, and then another Artifact Enhancement event. So you should be making sure that you're farming as much Spider as possible. And then Fire Knight, you want to keep the best gear possible for your account level, depending on where you're at. Classic Arena, everybody should be able to do Classic Arena 1 and Classic Arena 2 with no problems at all. That's the easiest one for anybody out there. Early game, mid game, late game, doesn't matter. Classic Arena should be extremely easy for you as long as you're farming Arena every single day. Then we've got Dragon Tournament on the 25th. It's actually towards the end of this fusion, so there's that. And then another champion training towards the end on the 26th, which is right after Christmas. Another reason why people aren't going to be going for this guy is because it's right after Christmas. It's during the holidays. Totally understand for people to take a break and honestly not go for the fusion, but I'm going to be going for this fusion. I do hope that I get him because I want to utilize him in Bommel mainly, and then I also want to try to build him as a really strong dungeon champion as well. Dungeon Divers event number 3 is on the 26th as well, and then an additional Artifact Enhancement event. So you have multiple champions that you need to collect. I really highly suggest people to go for this in Dahlia if you have the shards to do so. But other than that, I'm thinking that I will be able to get this unless I just make a mistake. Say, for example, you missed one, then you have to hope that you either pulled the epic or that you can pull them from a mystery shard or from a ancient shard, one of these risk harms. So be careful. Alright guys, so now I'm just going to take you back to raid here real quickly. So, the milestone that I reached, which I'm pretty excited for, so I did end up getting Mithrala. So I got Mithrala this week, pretty ecstatic. I was hoping that they would have a champion chase event first for the new fusion here, but unfortunately they're not doing that. They actually took out the champion chase, as I mentioned. So I guess I'm just going to pull her during the next CVC instead. Or I could even wait until the following... I could wait till the following fusion as well for champion chase, but now that just makes me think, are they going to continue to do just summon rushes going forward only, or will they add champion chase in again for the next fusion? And this is like just one of those one-off scenarios, because this is the first time they've ever done this where they don't have champion chase that I'm aware of. If they have done this before, leave it in the comments down below, but I don't believe they have ever done it in the 3 years that I've been playing. So yeah, that's kind of strange. But yeah, really ecstatic, really excited that I got Mithrala. She's going to be super beneficial to my account, especially in Arena, especially Tag Team Arena. And I think I'll be able to reach Silver 4 now just by building her and gearing her up with some halfway decent gear, making her fast, making her basically go on my defense team mainly. And she's going to be utilized to cleanse those debuffs on a go second team. So really excited for that. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one, guys. I really appreciate you guys. If you stuck with me this long, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.